You know, we throw that word narcissism around all the time, don't we? But have you ever really stopped to think about what's hiding behind the mask? It's so much more than just a big ego. It's a complex and honestly often a destructive pattern. So today, let's pull back the curtain and unmask it together. All right, so first things first, let's get a big question out of the way. Is narcissism basically the same thing as arrogance? I mean, they sound pretty similar, right? But here's the thing. That distinction, that little difference between them, that's where the real danger is. So yeah, let's definitely break this down. Okay, so you can see it right here. Arrogance, that's more like simple self-admiration. But narcissism? That's a whole different beast. We're talking about a dangerous psychological pattern. And at its very core, it's all about one thing: control. It's this relentless, burning need to make other people puppets in their own twisted show. That need for control, that's the real game changer here. So, our first section, beyond mere arrogance. To really get what makes a narcissist tick, we have to start by looking at the face they show the world. And trust me, it's a performance, a perfect one, designed with incredible precision. In this performance, this perfect mask, it actually has a name. It's called the false self. And it's not just for looks, oh no. It is a very carefully crafted tool, and it has a very, very specific job to do. So what is this false self? Well, it's a persona, right? One that's built from the ground up to impress people, to deceive them, and most importantly, to get their admiration. It's all about dazzling everyone around them. This is where, a tiny little achievement gets spun into this epic, legendary tale of their own greatness. So you gotta ask, why? Why go through all this trouble? Well, the purpose of this mask is pretty clear. It's about exaggerating every little thing to get that constant stream of admiration. They're literally building a fictional world where they are superior. But here's the wild part. It's also a form of self-deception. They start to believe their own hype, their own lies. It's like they're living in a feedback loop of their own creation. Okay, so we've seen the mask, this false self. But what powers it? What's the engine that keeps this whole performance running? Well, that brings us to our next big idea, and it's absolutely crucial: narcissistic supply. Think about it like this. Inside a narcissist, there's this huge gaping void, a massive emptiness. And so everything they do, the bragging, the manipulation, the control, it's all just a desperate search for fuel. And what's this fuel? It's the attention, the admiration, the praise from other people. That's the stuff that temporarily fills that void. But, and this is key, it's always, always temporary. And that's what creates this really unstable, vicious cycle. You see it here. There's the vast inner void. That leads to a desperate search for fuel for that admiration. And then they get a little bit, and it provides some temporary relief. But because that relief is so fleeting, so short-lived, it just kicks them right back into that desperate search for more. It's an exhausting, never-ending treadmill.
So this begs a really important question, right? What happens when the fuel runs out? What happens when someone dares to criticize them? Or, maybe even worse, just ignores them completely?
Well, that's when you see something called narcissistic rage, and it is an explosion. We're talking about a shockingly violent reaction that is just so far out of proportion to whatever happened. And you have to wonder why. It's because that little piece of criticism, that perceived slight, it's not just an insult, it's a direct threat to their entire fictional world. It's like a wrecking ball aimed at the foundation of their identity. So, to keep that precious fuel supply coming and to maintain control, narcissists have a whole toolbox of psychological tricks. Let's dig into two of their most common and most damaging tactics of manipulation.
Okay, tactic number 1, word salad. And I bet you've experienced this. Have you ever been in an argument with someone where they're just jumping all over the place? They contradict themselves, they mix in a little bit of truth with a whole lot of lies, and you walk away just feeling completely dizzy and exhausted? Yeah, you've been served a word salad. The goal has nothing to do with finding the truth. The goal is to confuse you, to exhaust you, until you just give up. It's about winning by wearing you down.
All right. The second tactic is a bit sneakier, a lot more subtle, but honestly, it could be just as devastating. It's called intentional ignoring. This is where silence isn't golden, it's a weapon. And let's be crystal clear about this. This is not about someone just being busy or forgetting to text back. No. This is a deliberate, calculated act. And it's designed to send one devastatingly simple message: you have no value. It's a tactic meant to completely shatter a person's self-worth, making them so much easier to control. And this tactic, this intentional ignoring,
It can escalate into something even more painful: punitive silence. Now look, we all know there's healthy silence, right? It's a sign of maturity, a way to de-escalate things. But this is the polar opposite. This is silence as a weapon of punishment. The goal is to make you feel guilty, to make you cave, to force you to submit. It is, without a doubt, a form of silent psychological abuse.
Okay, so we've pulled back the curtain on the false self, we've looked at the engine of narcissistic supply, and we've seen the tools of manipulation. That's a lot. So what now? How do we protect ourselves from this? Well, the first step, the most powerful tool you have, is knowledge. It's everything we've just talked about.
And I really want to stress this point. The goal here is not to go around pointing fingers or slapping labels on people. The goal is to empower you. It's about giving you the knowledge you need to protect yourself.
So, how do you do it? Well, first, you understand the patterns. Once you see them, you can't unsee them. Then you can start to draw healthy, firm boundaries. You can learn to say no or stop. And maybe most importantly, you can start to invest your energy where it belongs, in relationships built on real, mutual respect. It all starts with awareness. That's the key.
So I want to leave you with something to think about. Armed with this new understanding, how might it change the way you look at your own relationships? And more importantly, how can you use it to build connections that are genuinely healthier, truer, and more fulfilling? It's definitely something worth considering.